Hey everyone, welcome to the official first lesson of our Premiere Pro training. At this point, I'm really going to be working through the book on Premiere Pro and getting a lot more in depth with a lot of the functionality of the program. So this first lesson is really about workflow and getting deeper into how the workflow of Premiere works. First thing though, before I even open the program, if you haven't already, go ahead and create a Lesson 1 folder on your desktop. And in there, go ahead and create our 6 folders. And you can pause the video and do that real quick if you haven't already. And also, download the footage off of Haiku that's called Thief Unexpected. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab that out of my downloads folder here and put it into my raw folder. We're going to treat those as raw clips. Once I have Thief Unexpected into my raw folder, I'm going to go ahead and open up Premiere. Once Premiere opens, go ahead and create a new project. I'm going to call it Lesson 1. And click Browse and put that in the project folder that you just created in Lesson 1. Again, project files go in the project folder. Okay, now that Premiere is open, the first thing that you would normally do on a new project, obviously, is import your footage. The way I already taught you is the import command, Command-I, or file import. Today I'm actually going to teach you a new way to import footage off your camera that's actually a lot better than using the import command. The import command works best for self-contained assets like graphics and audio, but for footage that's coming straight off your camera, it's actually much better to use the media browser, which is a second tab here that you'll see next to our project window. It says media browser. So go ahead and click on that, and that'll bring you to this window here. The media browser is a much better tool for reviewing your media and then importing it into Premiere, because it means you can avoid the complex camera folder structures and avoid all that other junk that imports when you're importing the files off the camera, and it'll just show you the clips and you can import those clips on their own. So first thing you have to do is find those clips on your computer, and unfortunately the way that you do that is through this clunky file viewer over here. And honestly, this is one of my least favorite things about Premiere, is how this file system works. But the easiest way to find your footage is to come up here to this drop-down menu. It might say Macintosh HD, it might say nothing at all, but you can click on this drop-down menu that's right here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Home Directory. Now when you click on Home Directory, it will bring you to this screen. If it looks like this, go ahead and switch the view from thumbnail view to list view. And then from here, things will start to look a little familiar. Inside of my home directory, now I have my username here, and then I can click on Desktop, and then Lesson 1, Raw, and now I found Thief Unexpected, which is my raw footage for this project. Once you're in the media browser, it could be helpful to you to use the thumbnail view instead of the list view. Totally your call. There's also a zoom slider here for when you are in thumbnail view, and you can adjust the size of each of these clips. So probably better if the window is small to have it on the small side. If you want to take a look at these bigger, there's a new shortcut I want to show you where if you click on a window in Premiere and then hit the tilde key, that key that's in between tab and escape on the left side of the keyboard, it'll actually take that whole window and make it full screen for you. So now if I increase the size here, it's easier for me to scrub through these, and I can click on them and hit play, and take a look at what's happening inside each clip. You can see when I click on a clip, you get a playhead here at the bottom. Or I can hover my mouse over them and scrub. For this though, I'm going to keep it in list view just because I can see all my clips at once. There are a couple ways to import these videos into your project from here. You can either right-click and click import, or highlight them all and right-click and click import, which will import everything. That's not what I want you to do. It's actually a lot more efficient. It'll feel slower, but it's more efficient if we take these clips and instead of importing everything, actually go through and do what's called subclipping. Subclipping is a way of cutting out smaller portions of clips and importing them into your project as separate clips. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click on this shot that's called cutaways. All right, and that'll open the clip up in my source window. It's not imported into my project yet, it's just opened up in my source window. Now when I hit play, I'm going to find the piece of the clip that I actually want to use in my project. So I'm just going to fast forward past the clapper. There's a little bit of action happening up here, a little down here. Probably not going to use that. The first thing I'm probably going to actually use in my edit is here when he picks up the crackers. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the part where he puts that down just before his hand comes in, and I'm going to create an endpoint. Letter I on the keyboard to create an endpoint. He picks up the crackers. I'm going to fast forward here a little bit. He puts them down, and that's the end of that shot, right? So I'm going to create an out point. Now that I've made an in point and out point around the piece of the shot I'm going to use the keyboard command U. So press and hold command and hit U on the keyboard, and that'll open this new little window that says make subclip. And then in here, I can actually give that clip a name. So instead of it just being called cutaways, I'm going to call it crackers, or actually CU crackers. Crackers. And then I'm going to click OK. And now that I've clicked OK and I created the subclip, you're going to be like, hey, what happened? Like it didn't do anything. Well, if I come over into my project window, you'll see I now have a clip in here called CU crackers. And when I double click on that, it's only the clip that I put my in and out points around. All right, so it's not the whole clip anymore. It's just that piece that I subclipped. So now I'm going to go back to my media browser and keep playing. I'm going to see if there's anything else here I want to use. Okay, so here's a different person coming in and taking the crackers. So I'm going to create a new endpoint. I'm going to let that play out. Puts the crackers back down. You know, I'm going to kind of allow for a handle there too. What I mean by handle is, don't start the clip right on the edge here, like, right when the hand is about to come into frame, because I want to allow for a little bit of wiggle room in my editing process. So I'm just going to go back a few frames and then create my endpoint. And then he's going to come in, take the crackers, put the crackers back down, and then I'm going to let it play a little longer and create the out point. Okay, so I have a little bit more on either end that I'm probably going to end up using in my edit. And that way I can trim it later. All right, so now I'm going to hit Command U and make another new subclip. And I'm going to call this CU crackers left because it comes from the left side. And then I can just keep playing. And then he takes the crackers, he puts them back. Okay, and now it's just an empty bag. I'm going to make an out point, CU last cracker. And click OK. Now I've gotten to the end of my clip, and if I come back here and look, I can see I've got 3 shots. Each called crackers in some way, each called CU, but I can very easily, just from what the clip is called, tell exactly what is in the clip. And then I'm going to move on to my second clip. And for this, I'm going to need audio. So hold on, let me get my sound back on here. Okay. So I'm going to cut out the clip with the marker, and I'm going to wait for him to come into frame, and then I'm going to create an endpoint just before he comes into frame.
Excuse me, is this seat taken?
He responds and sits down. Let it breathe for a minute, but then at that point, after he sits down for a beat, I'm probably not going to use any more of that clip. So then I'm going to hit Command U again, and I'm going to call that medium. And your clip labels can really be whatever you want, as long as they are relevant. And you could tell what exactly is happening in that clip based on the title. And then I'm going to click OK and scrub the rest of this clip. Nothing else there. So let's check the second one. All right. And again, I'm just going to skip past all this junk with the marker and set an endpoint just before it comes into frame.
Excuse me. Is this seat taken?
Okay, and that take isn't good, right? Because if I watch, I can see our boom pole up here at the top of the frame, right? That's not gonna work out. So in my shot, he reset. So I'm gonna create a new endpoint now because I'm not ever going to use any of that in my project. So create a new endpoint.
Excuse me.
Okay, that take didn't work for our director either. So he resets again. Again, I'm not going to use that, so I'm just going to skip it. Endpoint.
Excuse me. Is this seat taken?
He sits down. He starts to sit down, and our director, he calls cut for some reason. But the first part of that take was pretty good, so I'm still going to take it, call that medium. Excuse me, tilted. And let's see if there's a final take here that is even better than that. And in this take, he actually completely sits down. And he comes out of frame, which is actually even better than the first take that I have. So then hit Command U one last time. Medium, excuse me, tilted. And then I'm going to call that a full take. Okay, and now if I come into my project window, you can see I have all these clips. It's very easy to tell what is in each clip based on its title, which will make things a lot easier for me in the editing process. So go ahead and go through all these other clips and create your subclips, right? Open up each file, find the pieces that you would use. Some of these are minutes long. And sometimes if it's a full conversation, maybe you are going to pull the whole thing, right? That's totally fine. If the full take is good and you think you're going to use the whole thing, it's okay to have a 3-minute subclip. Okay, so go ahead, subclip the rest of the shots. It's important that you actually subclip them, bring them into your project because you are going to edit with all of them later. Once you're done with that, go ahead and move on to our next video.